Well, thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa. My name is Nick Pachuski.
I'm Andrew Miller.
And of course, we're the podcast that promotes the people, places, events, and music of Ottawa that makes this city the incredible city it is. And before we get to so many special guests that we have today, why don't we check this out?
You got my fire going, you know my wants and my needs. And when I'm sad, solid waste, the sun is on the set, and it's so real I can touch it. And when I'm out of debt, I'll buy a golden
All right, so the band you just heard there was Dave Norris and Local Ivan. Of course, you'll be able to see them Sunday, September the 8th, this weekend at the Folk Fest at 1 p.m. And you're going to want to check them out. They were at North by Northeast representing Ottawa, which is awesome. That song was called Song for an Ad. Very catchy tune from their album Alma Mater, their second album. So you'll be able to check them out at davenorrislocalivan.bandcamp.com. All their albums are free on there, which is a great price. I always like that one. Also, an interesting thing is that on Saturday at 4 p.m., Dave is participating in a songwriters circle with Hayden and Michael Feuerstack. They're going to be talking about home recording, so that's going to be a very interesting free talk over at the Folk Fest, and that's right before Chris Hadfield comes on. And that's going to be free to see Chris Hadfield, the incredible astronaut that took some incredible photos.
That's more money for beer.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you can get beer. I don't know if you can get beer out there though. So in the free part, but we don't know. Maybe you could bring it in. I'm not saying do that.
Brown paper bag.
Anyways, we're here with three local contributors to the entrepreneur and startup kind of community. Our first guest is Paul Austin Minier, yeah, absolutely. Who is the marketing director of StartUp Weekend, which is an incredible weekend that is held a few times a year in Ottawa and around the world that we're going to hear more about. We're also joined with Ryan Perron from VidRack, a winner of the competition or the weekend. And we're also here with Brandon Wasselnuck from Tattoo Hero, another one. So it's going to be very interesting to hear all about Startup Weekend and all about the companies that they started up during these weekends. But first, Paul is one of our first guests that has only been here for less than 2 years. So it's going to be very interesting to hear his take of Ottawa, what people thought about Ottawa, and how his views might have changed in the past little while.
Yeah.
So,
how much did Toronto people hate Ottawa before you came here? And how wrong were they?
Yeah, you know, Toronto people are very indifferent to anything other than Toronto and Toronto people, right? Like, Toronto's a city-state, let's face it. There's kind of an impression in central Ontario, Toronto, that Ottawa is the nation's capital. You know, it's pretty. There are bike trails and lots of rivers, and it's pretty. And the government's here. Everybody works for the federal government. Everybody speaks French and English. You know, and the government's here, and there are pretty bikes and trails, and that's the impression. But me moving here 18 months ago to join the marketing firm I'm with now, you know, it was a bit of a journey. I actually chucked a suitcase and moved here in 4 days to start my new job.
Oh, wow.
It was something else. I found an apartment in the South End, kind of on the fly.
well, how did you decide on moving to the South End?
To be honest, I'd been living on a friend's couch for 6 weeks, and it became one of those things where, dude, you've been here for 6 weeks, go get a place to live. And the place I found happened to be the first one that was available. So
there you go.
I moved there.
There wasn't a decision.
There was nothing else. There was no choice for me. But Ottawa's a very cool city. You know, I've come to realize that it's a lot more cultural than I would have imagined. There's a fantastic music scene here. Like, the indie music scene is awesome. The food scene is great too. You know, I spend a lot of weekends kind of on that patio down at Spark Street, the Three Brewers, the craft beer.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I spent a lot of time down there. That's just a place that I never really would have been exposed to in Central Ontario. You're down by the river. The culture here is great. Like there are 6 museums in Ottawa? 3 big ones.
There's
a
a
lot.
lot. There's probably a lot more than that.
There's a lot of them. I went to the Star Wars exhibit over the weekend, which was pretty cool.
How long is that there for?
They've extended it. I think it's to January or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
got
on
popularity
for a
of
few
it.
more
It's been-
months now.
Yeah.
And which museum's that at?
It's at Air and Space.
Oh,
which
sweet.
let me give just anybody who's out there riding the bus to the Air and Space Museum. I'm going to give you a hint right now because this one screwed my pooch, man, on the weekend. The 129 is the bus you want, and it's only every second bus that goes to Air and Space. The other one goes down Carson. I spent 2 hours just kind of twiddling my thumbs waiting for the next bus.
Okay. Nice. And, well, that's great. And yourself, Ryan, you're from Ottawa, born and raised, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in Ottawa. I've been here my whole life. I guess my love for the city is what's kept me here. There's so much going on. It's kind of the in between a big city and a small town. So you can you still bump into people at the shopping mall, and there's lots to do. So it's definitely kept me here. My family's here. So yeah, and I live out in Chelsea, Quebec now. So out
nice.
by Gatineau Park.
Beautiful out there.
Beautiful
It's not that
place.
far, and you
Yeah,
live-
no. So yeah, it takes me about 25 minutes in town, but I definitely recommend anybody in the Ottawa area to go spend an afternoon out in Chelsea.
Well, absolutely. And that's where Le Nordique is. I'm
Yeah.
sure that most
Nordique.
people will know about that.
Yeah.
Great little restaurants there, too. I've eaten there quite a few times.
Oh yeah, great food, and then you got Mackenzie King Estate, which is a great place to visit.
Yeah.
Good place to take a date. So yeah, no, I love it here.
Dating advice.
Any other particular restaurants that you like out there, or here?
In Ottawa, actually, the place I eat a lot at, there's a place called The Table, Wild Oat, and the Green Door. So those are my 3 go-to
Nice.
places.
Where are those located?
You got
Tables.
Green Doors on Main Street. So these are vegetarian kind of I'm not a vegetarian, but I love to eat healthy. So so I kind of stick to those places quite a bit. So you got the Green Door, which is down on Main Street. You got The Table, which is in Westboro. Both are pretty equally priced. It's pay by weight, so you fill your plate and they weigh it. So
How much does that average out to? For
I usually eat it for about $10, so
Okay.
That's pretty
it's a good price. And then if you're gonna go for best breakfast in town's at the Wild Oat. It's called the Wild Plate.
Yeah.
Anybody, you gotta eat that thing. It's
that's in the Glebe.
Yeah, that's in the Glebe. So that's down around Bank and 4th.
What's on the Wild Plate?
The Wild Plate's eggs. You got some vegetables in there with a little bit of cheese on top. They have a bakery, so it's some really fresh, top-notch,
like it.
bread, and then you got the hash browns in there.
Nice. Breakfast out loud next week.
Yeah.
And yourself, Brandon, what's your story?
Yeah, I'm also a born and raised Ottawanian. So I grew up in the wide town of Nepean. But I've been here my whole life. Only 25 now. So, but what kept me here is definitely I've got family here. So that's been one thing. I'm also going to school here was great. But as Ryan was sort of talking about, it's pretty cool that Ottawa is really big. Like it's very large. Like we're gonna hit a million.
So.
We're gonna hit a million
sure.
pretty soon.
Yeah.
And yet the degree of separation in Ottawa is like 2. And you walk downtown, and I'm just like, oh, hey, high school friend, oh, college friend, like what the like, and you're always running into each other. So it's a really unique atmosphere that way. And I have to definitely say that the Wild Oat does sound good, but the Wellington Diner has you beat for breakfast, man. So there's gonna be a breakfast fight. Specifically for me, I'm allergic to wheat, so I'm gluten intolerant.
And that seems to be becoming a lot more common these days. I run across people all the time now that what is it celiac? Is that the
celiac is the one that if you eat wheat, it actually destroys your intestines.
Oh, okay.
Intolerance is just you feel really sick.
Gotcha.
Like you don't have detrimental, long-lasting health effects. So, but yeah, it's been diagnosed a lot lately. Plus, it's become a fad diet. So there's this weird mixture of the two things. I did get diagnosed, which sucked because I was like, oh, what do I do? But I found the Wellington Diner.
I
know the egg rolls.
Yeah,
Golden
we were talking
Palace.
before the show about Golden Palace right beside where we're doing it, that they have the best egg rolls in town.
Yeah, walking into this building, I smelled Golden Palace egg rolls and like tears. Many tears. Just why? It was horrible. I hate you, Paul.
And we're gonna have to check these out after.
Yes.
Right on.
Yeah, so that's some very interesting stuff. So we're going to go right into why we're here to discuss Startup Weekend. What is it? how people can get involved and how to start that kind of stuff. So, Paul, if you can take us through and how you became involved with that so quickly.
Absolutely. Startup Weekend is it's really a global phenomenon, right? This is a grassroots movement that it's partnered with the Kauffman Foundation in the States, and they provide a lot of support for us. There are these chapters all over the place. Pretty much every city that is more than 150,000 people in North America has a chapter of Startup Weekend. And Startup Weekend is all about action, Starting a business, we're kind of on a level playing field for the first time in history now. You don't need a lot of capital to start a business. You don't need massive technology skills. You don't need a venture capitalist. You don't need a banker. If you start a technology business, you can start it with passion and with drive and with go. That's what Startup Weekend's all about. We like to say, no talk, all action, 54 hours, you're done. So Startup Weekend starts on a Friday night. This fall, it's October 18th to 20th. And by Sunday afternoon, you've essentially built yourself a viable business. It's been market tested, you've done research, you've done product development, you've done rapid prototyping, and Sunday evening, 4 or 5 o'clock, you shut down and you pitch your business in front of a panel of industry experts, judges, investors, a lot of the time, people who are very big in the community,
Who are some of the panels?
Well, UX
from the past.
Last Startup Weekend we had Jeff Parks, who is a UX guy who's just legendary in the field. Nobody really outside
and
of
what's
technology
UX?
knows Jeff. UX is user experience.
Okay.
It's designing technology systems so that people can use them
Gotcha.
easily. Anytime you look at an iPhone app and it doesn't piss you off, somebody who knows UX has been involved along the way.
Gotcha.
So Jeff was one of our judges. We also had some people from Microsoft down at the last Startup Weekend. There was Mark Garneau, who works with the BizSpark team at Microsoft. They support small businesses and tech entrepreneurs and tech startups with this great platform of services that they've offered built on Windows Azure. It's kind of like the Microsoft version of Amazon AWS, right? So they're really interested in helping businesses support their platforms and support their ideas through technology. You don't need to build out your own servers and your own stuff to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So Startup Weekend, over the course of the 54 hours, you've essentially got a business. Both Ryan and Brandon went through this, and they kind of did the whole storm, form, norm, perform thing. They formed their teams. They got through issues. They did market research. They built the product. And both of them have launched their business and continued on afterwards, which is really our goal.
Mm-hmm.
At Startup Weekend, tech entrepreneurship is really the buzzword right now. But what we're really all about is building foundations for entrepreneurship. We really want young entrepreneurs to succeed and to have the skills to succeed and to carry on their businesses after the competition is over. That's what we want.
That's fantastic. And now there's been, is this the 4th edition coming up, or was there 4 already?
Yep, this is the 4th Startup Weekend in Ottawa.
Okay.
Startup Weekend's been around for quite a while, but in Ottawa...
There's been hundreds across the world, pretty much.
Hundreds. In Ottawa, it's relatively young. This is the 4th competition that we're doing in October. Pardon me. And we're really looking forward to it. This Startup Weekend in October is it's very unique. We're pairing with one of the chapters in the United States in Hartford, Connecticut, and for the first time ever, we're going to be having a competition where teams can be located in both cities and collaborate. So I can have 2 people here in Ottawa and 3 people in Hartford, and they're working together. Distance doesn't matter. They're collaborating in real time on their teams and competing.
What kind of screens and hardware are you going to be using to make that work?
Mm-hmm. So part of the
how has it been tested out and everything?
TBD. We're still working with the details. It's the first time this has been done, but as to kind of fit in with the Startup Weekend mantra, which is very use the tools that are available and get going, get it done. Nothing has to be perfect right from day one. You learn, you build, you grow, you iterate, and you get better as time goes on. We're using just publicly available tools. We're using Google Hangouts, we're using Google Docs, we're using Skype. We're using all of these common consumer platforms and technologies that have been battle tested by consumers over the past 5-6 years and really pushing the dial as far as productivity and collaboration goes. Mm-hmm. So we're building out a model that anybody can replicate. We're not deploying specialized equipment. We're not setting up video conference suites. We're not using Cisco gear. We're not doing any of that enterprise-grade stuff. We're using tools and technology that anybody can use for free. Mm-hmm. That's a big part of what we want to accomplish with this.
So how can people go about participate in this? Do you have to have a special degree or,
Nope.
you know, in some aspect or another? I know, like, I've checked out the website. It's, what was the website again? www.
It's ottawa.startupweekend.org.
Okay.
That's exactly where we're at. And you don't have to have a specialized degree or skill set to participate. We also take on business, non-technical people who are interested in startups, who are passionate about them. There are a limited number of spots available for that crowd because we still do need designers and
Yeah, I
developers
saw
to
that,
write
and I
the
believe
code.
that's full for October for
Yeah.
that section. But
Yeah, right now the non-tech is it's completely full. It's a very popular category. I would probably have participated in it myself, you know, a couple of years ago.
because everyone has
It's
great
cool.
ideas, right? So you need those people there regardless.
Absolutely. But we also want web designers who have skills writing code, CSS, HTML, JavaScript, and we're looking for developers as well. People who have skills using PHP, using Ruby on Rails, those kind of popular frameworks that are open source and that are driving the development of web technologies forward. Everybody is welcome. Even if you don't want to participate in Startup Weekend, you can still buy tickets to watch the show on Sunday.
Yeah,
It's
and
quite the show, right?
$20, I believe, to
$20
watch it at the end.
$20
And where is it
very
located?
affordable.
Where will it be located?
Shopify's offices downtown on York Street.
Beautiful.
Shopify, you know, I can't say enough good things about their team and about that crowd. The Shopify people are fantastic. I mean, that's an Ottawa startup that has been very successful. They closed a Series D a couple of years ago, and they're growing. I mean, they are
Yeah.
really innovating
We're
in
still
their
looking forward
space,
to having them on here sometime soon, too.
and they're killing it. But it's in their lounge, and it's a nice space on York Street downtown.
It's October 20th. Definitely
on.
get out to watch it. And we have great graduates from Algonquin in all of those categories. So we're going to be looking very good on that. How big are the teams also?
Teams tend to be between 5 and 8 people. We like to keep the formation of teams as loose as possible. We do have one rule: you cannot come into Startup Weekend and work on an existing business. So we want everyone to start with a level playing ground because this is a competition, and there are some great prizes to be won. You know, a lot of local businesses will kick in prize packages. Microsoft kicks in some stuff, Google kicks in some stuff, as well as Canvas Pop. You know, local technology-oriented business, they get really involved, and we're very, very grateful for those guys. So because we want to keep this level and fair and even for everyone, you cannot come in with starting with an existing business. Our
Idea?
You can come in with an idea,
Okay.
absolutely.
That was my other question. Do the ideas kind of already in play, and then you have people work on ideas, or they bring their ideas?
Little bit of both. A little
Okay.
bit of both. A lot of people who want to pitch, they come in with their idea. And our yardstick is, if you haven't written any code, then you're good. You know, your idea can be very, very well developed, but as long as you haven't written code, you can definitely participate. You're eligible to win the prizes. So people do come in with preconceived ideas, and I'd say that's probably 90-95% of people.
Okay.
Some people, though, you know, they're just so passionate about entrepreneurship and technology, they get in the space with this other 95, 96, 100, 105 people, and they're inspired.
Yeah.
And they think, wow, this would be a fantastic idea. I've talked to this person and this person and this person, and I think this is a market opportunity. And it'll happen very
Sounds like a
organically,
lot of
very
fun.
rapidly.
That's
The
great.
environment, man. If you're oriented towards technology, if you like small businesses, if you like entrepreneurship,
If you're
and
bored at your
like-
job you're at now.
if you where is my boss hanging around here? if you like this kind of environment and this thing, Startup Weekend's for you. The atmosphere is unbelievable.
And the cost for everyone else, not just the audience, was $99, I believe.
$99, that's right. There are normally student passes available. They're $49. They're getting pretty close to being sold out. So if you're a student, you want to participate, get your ticket like yesterday.
Wonderful.
Gotcha.
That's
Let's take
awesome.
a
So
quick-
we're going to take a quick break with one more song from Dave Norris and Local Ivan. We're going to listen to Who Killed Ty Cobb. I don't know how they called it this instead of Ty Cobb. I can't wait to ask Dave about that. It's from their latest album, They Let You Paint Your Darker Dreams. It's a great free album. So we'll be right back talking to Ryan and Brandon about how they won these competitions. We'll be right back.
Crowbar to my car, Greyhound, let me down. I'll make it right. I'll make it right. Motown, farewell. I'm out on no bail. I let you down. I let you down. You said love
All right, so once again, that was Who Killed Tycon from Let You Paint Your Darker Dreams from Dave Norris and Local Ivan. So we're going to run the format here with Ryan and Brandon, just from the start of the competition to where they are now. And so hopefully you can differentiate the voices. So I guess Ryan first. How did you decide to get involved with this? I know this was, I think, your second one.
Yeah, so
this was your second one, and
I did two startup weekends. My first one actually is where I met Brendan and Tattoo Hero, Brendan's startup. They won the first one I was at, and I went in there. I just thought, hey, like Shopify is a really cool place, and I was like, I'm going to check this out. I didn't really have any expectations. I actually didn't even really know a lot about what it was about going in there, and so we go in and we pitched our ideas, and over the weekend we formed our teams, and the team I got on. I actually met one of my best friends that I currently. He's my business partner on my new startup. So we actually met on our first startup weekend, and I realized throughout my first round of startup weekend how valuable this weekend is, and how you can make like lasting relationships, business relationships, and meet some really great talent, people who have skill sets that can work with what your skills are. Because I think one of the hardest things with starting a startup is finding partners with the skills that kind of match or complement what you're doing. Because it tends to be marketers hang out with marketers and developers hang out with developers, and sometimes it's hard for them to get together. So that's what I found Startup Weekend was really great for.
So, and like you said, you learned a lot just the first time around, and enough that you got enough value out of it that you went again, even though you didn't win.
Yeah, no, our first team, my first team didn't win, but I definitely saw the value in it. And between that startup weekend and the one where my team did win, I was managing a website, and I needed to solicit video content from the visitors on the website. And so I wanted people to give video feedback through my website, and I was looking around for ways for people to submit video to me, and there was really nothing out there that I could find. And so I had this idea, like I have this problem, I need people to give me video feedback from my website, and I can't find anything. And so I had this idea, and I felt very passionate about solving this problem, except I didn't have a team. Like I didn't know where to find a developer. I didn't know where. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait for the next startup weekend, and that's exactly what I did.
And sure enough, you pitched the idea, and you guys got it.
How was it received when you first pitched it?
So it was actually received very well. I thought of the idea probably about 2.5 months before the next startup weekend. So I had this thing running through my mind, like day in and day out. So when I actually got up on stage, it kind of just flowed out pretty natural. And so a lot of people did sign up for our team. I think we had at the next startup weekend, at the one where we won, 10 people actually joined our team.
Oh,
and so it was really exciting. And although we had a little bit of a human resources problem, I mean, managing 10 people when you're coming from nothing is like a whole chore in itself. So. So that's sort of how I got into Startup Weekend. Let me, Brendan.
What about and yourself there, Brendan?
Yeah, so I found out about Startup Weekend because I've always played around with the concept of being an entrepreneur a bit. I technically started my first company when I was 10 years old.
Nice.
I pitched to some businesses. I'd clean their parking lot, and they'd give me cash that I could spend on like fast food. It worked really well. I hired my first employee like 2 months later because I was cleaning so many parking lots I couldn't do it by myself.
That's great.
So it was just one of those like, oh yeah, flirting with it. But I laughed earlier when you mentioned, do you need special skill sets or some degree to sort of do this? Just because me and school don't get along so well, so we never did too well together. So I only graduated from Algonquin with a 2-year diploma because I thought I had to. Yeah. While I was there, though, I started 2 businesses. I failed one. The other one I did pretty well, and I sold the contracts to another company. I was just a consulting firm, though.
Okay.
So Startup Weekend was a friend basically dropped me a note, said, yo, I saw this email, this thing, you should check it out. Read up on it, thought it was cool, so I grabbed a friend from work. I have a day job at IBM, and we were on the user experience team there. So I grabbed a friend and said, yo, you're coming with me. If this thing sucks, we'll jet. So we show up, and honestly, immediately, it was as if I had, like, found my home, because like there was all these crazy people like me who just run around
birds
working.
of a feather.
Oh, totally. You work a full-time job, for 8 hours a day, and then at night you go home and work more, or teach yourself to code, or you're just constantly working on it. And you think you're crazy. You seriously think you're the only person. Then you show up in this room of 100 people who are all the same. Now they have different disciplines and different skill sets, but like seriously, so many people there are just in that focused area. Like, work 16 hours a day. That's just what I do, and it was fantastic. So meeting those people was awesome. I personally pitched an idea at our weekend. Didn't go so well. It was just yet another shopping application, a way that you could do shopping online, whatever. Right? Penetrate a $25 billion market. I thought, hey, why not? Then when you look at the competition, you're like, oh, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Well, you're on Shopify.
Yeah, exactly. So I wound up joining up with the Tattoo Hero boys later on, and I met them then. So we had
later on during the weekend.
Oh,
so you can switch.
Yeah. So they do allow switching. It's very organically formed.
Yeah.
So basically,
well, if you're not feeling one idea and you have something, you hear somebody else talking, you kind of want to jump on that, right?
Sometimes ideas collapse. So they might. So basically, let's pretend you see 40 pitches, because it's one person. They do pitch fire, so it's a 60-second pitch. So the person just goes, blah 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 blah. Here's my idea. It's really cool, and here's how we'll make money. Come talk to me after. So everybody talks, and generally out of that, let's say 40 pitches, you kind of whittle down to maybe 16, 15 ideas, at most 20 that have a team. Because unless you have more than 2 people, they say you can't really work on it. It's probably you won't get the most out of the weekend.
Yeah.
So that goes down, and then usually by the end of Friday night, moving into Saturday, some of those. How
long does Friday night go to?
As late as you are willing to do it.
Yeah, I see some of them on the schedule till 1:30 in the morning, pretty much.
Yeah.
We tend to kind of usher people out around 1:30 in the morning, but
we
trying
to get last call out there in the market.
Yeah. Just hit a couple bars.
What time does it open the next day on the Saturday?
7:30, 8, and around there.
Yeah.
The organizing team gets in early to set up and to prepare for the day.
Gotcha.
And participants kind of like they wander in when they can. They're more than welcome to show up when we show up if they want to really get the extra work in. It's really kind of self-guided as far as the teams go.
Food provided?
Part of it. Food is provided. Yeah. We do dinner on the Friday. We do lunch dinner on the Saturday.
So you got Kitchissippi there too on the Friday for a little tasting.
Kitchissippi, let me tell you, they also sponsored with beer. They kicked in the beer for the last startup weekend.
Oh, nice.
And those guys they're awesome too.
Yeah, they're great.
I love the
Paul's been on our
guys.
show as well, so great guy.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear a little bit more about Tattoo Hero.
Yeah. So
Tattoo
Tattoo Hero. Like the True Weekend sort of suggests, right? You start with an idea and you iterate on it. Paul mentioned that before. So the original idea for Tattoo Hero didn't work. And it was great because we thought it was a great concept. We were going with it, and then we walked outside. We left our ivory tower and we went into the real world, and we talked to customers, and they laughed at us. They're like, I would never use that. Not in my life.
Okay, so it's an application?
So originally, so it's a website.
Okay.
So what it is today, let me go ahead and tell you what it is today. It's a community site that connects tattoo enthusiasts with shops and artists around the world.
Okay.
So if you're interested in getting a tattoo, you've never had one done before, or if you're a tattoo collector and you've got lots, we basically got tons of inspiration up there, photos of people who have tattoos, they're uploading their work and they show what it is. But when you're looking at their work, you see the artist that did it. Because tattoo artists are just like a graphic designer, right? Like they have varied styles, they have varied talents, varied depths of talents. And so if you want to find the right artist for you, it can be very, very, very hard. Because right now there's a seriously underserved market, both from a technology perspective and from a marketing perspective. Generally, they don't even have a website.
Yeah.
So what we're building is a place for artists to build their portfolios and hold on to clients. We're building shop areas for them to build basically their own sort of website pages where people can book online. You can actually have online consultations. That's going to be rolling out soon. That feature isn't fully developed yet, but a way that basically we can allow all these people to connect to each other and share with each other in basically a niche social network.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
it's been a great idea.
It's been thank you. It's been very successful, but it didn't start that way, and that's what's so cool about the weekend, right?
Yeah.
Is you get in, you're like, yo, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do like tattoo bidding, like whatever. You go and they're like, no, like a tattoo is an expression of someone's self.
Yeah.
Like you think someone's just gonna bid on a design? Like I mean, some people walk in and usually their first tattoo is picked out of a book. But from then on, it kind of starts to change a lot. And so it was just really cool to see. And you walk out, you talk to people, you learn, you need help. Like we were talking to Ryan on that weekend, because he's got some really great knowledge actually of like SEO, which is sort of search engine optimization.
That's how we've met.
And other things. So we were like, we wanted to, and, we're jumping in and helping each other out. I think I wound up advising maybe 6 of the businesses on business plans. I'm a marketing business guy.
Wonderful.
So I was like, people would come to me and they're like, yeah, you seem like a smart, like, blah, blah. Oh yeah, here's some research, and we just anyway. It was awesome. As I mentioned before, you meet a bunch of the crazy people in Ottawa that are just like you. So if you think this, like, you just have to do it. You have to do it.
It sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to tell people potentially that should be joining? You've said a lot, but...
sorry. One of the best things is I am business. So as you mentioned, it's sold out. I went as a non-technical business person. That was my category of ticket. But while I was going, I had taught myself to code at night. I was teaching myself web languages, so HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and a little bit of PHP. So when I went in, it was very, very valuable. So anyone who's thinking about it, you will learn more in that weekend about how to develop, how to even do some design stuff like mock-ups and simple things than you will ever learn trying to self-teach.
Wow. Or going to school.
Or going to man, seriously, forget school.
You're like, kids, drop the books.
Yeah, I gotta say one thing.
Don't actually do that.
The price of the ticket is like, you can't beat that. Like I made this joke with a friend of mine that it's cheaper for me to live at StartUp Weekend than it is for me to live my everyday life. You get like fed all weekend. You got a place to stay, a couple beers.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
good food.
It's great.
Bad big boy ribs.
Yeah.
Like we had ribs on Friday night with Kitchissippi kegs and like liquor.
Yeah,
I ate better than I do normally.
It's a wonderful weekend, and I've only heard great things from anyways that's participated. That's why I was very excited to have you on and to talk to you, just so we could possibly do more of these and drive more businesses in Ottawa, and we get more inspiration towards the city councillors to make it easier for people to get these businesses off the ground.
So the next one,
people in Ottawa.
It's October 8th.
October 18th to 20th. Tickets are on sale now. Visit ottawa.startupweekend.org. The non-tech tickets are sold out, but there are still tickets for designers and developers. And Sunday, people want to come along, hang out. We've got those tickets too.
And for the next one, is there any plans on when these other people, for the ones that are sold out now, a couple of months down the road, 6 months, is there any plans on number 5? For Ottawa.
Yeah, Startup Weekend 5 will be it'll be next year. We haven't picked the date yet.
Okay.
Startup Weekend is a very kind of cohesive but not cohesive community. We talk to the people who run the Montreal event. We talk to the people who run the Toronto event, and we pick different weekends, right? Because there are a lot of people who do Montreal and Ottawa.
Yeah.
So we don't want to pick the same weekend and have those people have to choose between Ottawa and Montreal because they're both fantastic.
People
events.
go to travel to do that. Wow.
Yeah, that's a guy actually rolled in from Montreal with his full iMac and set it up on this table and slept at Shopify all weekend.
That's awesome.
You just jamming. It was
professional.
like 26-inch monitor.
What's the age range that you're seeing for this?
Most of the participants range, but they range between.
They also rage.
They also range between 18, 19 up to 30, 35.
Go 35.
Yeah,
Make us feel better.
I'm 30. And this is my bag, right?
Perfect.
We had one guy in the last one who was mid 40s, so it's a pretty wide range. And the people who come to watch on Sunday, all ages, all creeds, all crowds.
That's actually where we met our first venture capitalists as well.
Wonderful.
Right on.
That's awesome.
All right, so what do we got going on this weekend?
Well, we'll quickly thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for coming on.
For having us.
It was very, very interesting. We'll just quickly run through some events this weekend. Any events that you guys want to talk about that's going on that you know of?
You're going to talk about it, Folk Fest. It's awesome.
Yeah, Folk Fest. Yeah. Did you go last night?
No, I couldn't make it.
Tonight,
working.
Tonight will be good. Vampire Weekend. Kendrick Lamar tomorrow.
Kendrick Lamar tomorrow. Yep, should be good.
Sheepdog Saturday night.
Yeah,
it's always fun.
Also tomorrow night is Nicky Romero is playing at the CE Center.
Yeah, that'll be good for the Frost Week crowd.
Yeah.
Harvest Noir on Saturday, the pop-up picnic. That'll be a lot of fun. And then they have a party after, so it's pretty cheap, like $45 to $55. Plus you get the after party. So that'll be fun. On Friday, you have the Unshaven Mavens, Pits for Tits launch party supporting Rethink Breast Cancer. That's 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Mercury Lounge. So that'll be a fun time as well. Also, Centertown is trying to create the kind of experience that you get at the Great Lead Garage Sale. Which have you heard of that, Paul?
I've heard of it. I haven't been yet.
Well, you will sometime. So they're trying to start it up in Centertown this weekend. Hopefully that grows into you know.
Well,
Good.
Friday's packed. I also just see here
What do you got?
at Zaphod's on Friday night. Continental is ex-Dropkick Murphys.
Oh, really?
And East End Radicals from Montreal and the Scally Cat Brats.
That's a great.
I like that name.
That's all right. So lots of stuff again this weekend. Next weekend's going to be, or next week's episode is going to be a lot of fun. We have Peggy Blair, who's an author, a fantastic author. I definitely recommend you read her books. I thought, you know, who knows, you know, if this is going to be good. 2 days, both books. Finished them, couldn't stop reading them. They're so good, and she's starting to grow across the world in producing these books, and it's just really interesting how she started out, and the story's going to be a lot of fun.
Sweet. One more song here.
So one more song. It's going to be Welcome to the Foxhole, and it's from their new album, again, Let You Paint Your Own Darker Dreams. Dave Norris and local Ivan. If you don't see him this weekend, check him out some other time. A lot of fun.
All right. See you later, guys.
See you later, guys. Thank you.
I grew up inside a fox's hole. I grew down just to see how low. I set a fire in it to see if I still gave a shit. Turn a page on it, say